Is it on? Ah. I tried both on and off. Okay, now we're good. That's not me. Neither is that. The reason I have Trump on here, not because I'm going to be talking about Trump, because I'm sure everybody has talked the Trump phenomena to death. But the reason I have put him up there is because he epitomizes what's happening in the world right now. But before I do that, and since I'm going to be talking about out-of-the-box thinking, I'm going to do it backwards. Usually people go and introduce themselves and talk about it and thank people at the end. I'm going to do it backwards. Let me thank, so that I won't forget, some of the people who have been amazing. Your schoolmates who have spent done an amazing job on putting this PowerPoint together, starting with Sarah, Julia, Catherine, Jinwook, who else did I miss? Somebody else, Jayoon, amazing job. So thank you everybody, and we can get on with that. As I said, Trump epitomizes, or the Donald Trump phenomena, as it is called, epitomizes what's happening in the world today, right? And what is happening in the world today is things like Brexit, the Bernie phenomena, the war in Syria, the Arab Springs, all those things, to me, they are an indication of the same thing as pinnacled by Donald Trump. So what is this that we're talking about? What it is, these are all symptoms of the demands of your generation for extraordinary solutions to today's global problems, and there are plenty of them. And what you guys, your generation, is demanding is extraordinary solutions. What's extraordinary solutions? That's nothing new, even though the modern people don't seem to be able to find them, are solutions that we have seen in the past. In the 60s, just after when the economy was bad, we had this extraordinary event called Let's Go to the Moon. An extraordinary man by the name of John F. Kennedy, he said, let's go to the moon. That didn't sound like, how's that going to help? But as a result of that venture to the moon, we had some amazing innovations. In fact, it are those innovations that led to today's advanced technological world. But that wasn't the first time. In fact, earlier on, if you remember a fellow by the name of Columbus, he did some out-of-the-box thinking, right? He said, everybody's going east, I'm going to go west. And he ended up discovering America, one of the greatest nations on earth, the way we are here, yes? The point is, it isn't the great things that people do, it is the out-of-the-box thinking that they do which leads to great things. And that's what we need today, thinking out of the box. Now, you might be thinking, oh my God, to do out-of-the-box thinking, you have to do some extraordinary things. Yes? Actually, you don't. You can do out-of-the-box thinking almost every day. And all it requires is extraordinary people. What's extraordinary people? People who are open-minded, people who are daring, and people who are adventurous, right? You can't go out of the box if you're not adventurous. But you don't have to do amazing things like invent cure for the cancer or anything like that. You can do it in a day-to-day environment. I'll give you an example. I am myself a kind of a living example of out-of-the-box thinking. Some of you may know when I was originally born in a very poor environment in the ghettos of Karachi. Me, my father, my mother, we lived in a one-room house with a toilet outside, and actually life was pretty good. We were happy. What you don't have, you don't miss. But as we started growing, I had two sisters, the third one coming, the resources were the same, but the needs were greater. So when that happens, you have two choices. You can either say, oh my God, I want to take this pie and I want to split it up and get me bigger and bigger piece myself. Or you can say, let me think out of the box and think how I can expand this pie so that everybody's better. And my mom, bless her heart, she's the one who instilled into us this notion of being able to think outside of yourself, think of the family, and not about yourself. As a result of that, thinking out of the box became my habit. I went out, instead of staying where everybody else was staying, I went outside. At the age of 15, I went to England, went to his university, and eventually ended up in America. What an amazing place. Started my own business. And my family that I was concerned about expanded from just my family to my family that I created in America and the company that I own and all the employees who worked there. And all the time, I wasn't thinking about me. I was thinking about this out-of-the-box thinking. And it led to success. Then, in 1996, Mom died. And at that time, I didn't know it. But that was like the light which was outside went out. And I was back in that box. Now I was thinking about me. And I started thinking not about the company or the family, because everybody was doing well. I was thinking about me. Hey, what can I do for myself? And I enjoyed playing golf, so I started playing lots of golf. What can I do for myself? I started partying. I started doing things which I thought were important. I started investing in things, not things which I thought were good for the company or good for the family, but for things that were good for me. Needless to say, things started going bad. Started losing a lot of money, and I was on a downward spiral towards oblivion. Fortunately, my initial investment with the family and the friends and the company came through, and all of those people got together, and they said, man, you got to get out of this mess. This is no good. And fortunately, I left New York and ended up in this amazing place called AAS. And here, not only did I find another light to make me start thinking out of the box, which were my students, but I also discovered an amazing place full of extraordinary people. You are extraordinary. Why? Because you are open. Think about it. Anglo-American School of Moscow. England, America, Russia, three of the greatest nations on earth, right? In Moscow, people who are amazingly successful, right? So I started thinking to myself, hey, here I am. Now that I'm thinking out of the box again, and things started getting better, and I can tell you over the last 7-8 years you've been here, things are better and better, and I could not be happier. So for that, I should thank you all, and often in my classes, I go to my class and say, hey guys, thank you very much for letting me come and teach you here, because I can't wait to come to work every day because I'm having such a great time, yes? And I'm not thinking about me, I'm just having a great time, not because I'm having a great time, it's because I'm helping everybody else learn better. So I thought to myself, hey, that's pretty cool. If one man can start from the ghettos of Karachi, and just because of started thinking, I can be pretty successful. What if everybody was started to think out of the box? Can they solve a lot of these problems? And I thought, yeah. And that's what I'm doing. My job today is I'm trying to get you to understand this notion of how to start thinking out of the box, so that instead of asking people like Trump and everybody else to solve your problem, which they won't, you will be able to solve your own problems. So let's talk about out-of-the-box thinking. I think I'm pressing the button backwards and forwards. Aha. So, out-of-the-box thinking, as I mentioned before, is not about you, it's about we. So the question is, in this global problems, what is we? We need to understand that a little better. So we, as you know it, the most common form of we is our family, right? And what is we? We are people in a place using stuff, doing things to achieve a goal, yes? What is the goal for a family? The well-being of the family. Yes, that's one type of an organization. Then you have other organizations, hospitals. Again, people, nurses, doctors in a place working together, using scalpels and things like that to do what? Help people heal. We have schools and universities, same thing, helping people getting together. And rather than go through all of them, we have commercial organizations helping people conduct transactions. We have police forces and judges to maintain law and order, to provide security. We have government to manage it all. What are these? These are all institutions. So when you have organizations working towards an objective, you get things happen. But there is a problem, right? These are the institutions that are not working for all of us. So what is the problem? The problem is that a lot of these institutions, while they are all designed basically to help the people which are part of that organization, they sometimes what I call go rogue. What does that mean? That means that they lose their objective of helping the people who created the organization, and instead of start thinking about themselves, their survival becomes more important. They end up worrying about money. They want to make profit. The CEOs, they want to get rich, and they lose sight of what happens. The governments, political people, they get corrupt. They don't do what they're supposed to do. So that seems to be where the problem lies. So the question is, what is the solution? Well, normally when you need solutions, what do? I know from my math class, a lot of the kids, what do? They go look at the back of the book, or they go ask one of their friends who is supposed to be an expert, right? So we have a tendency that when we have a problem, we go and find experts. The problem with experts is they really don't know how to solve problems. They know how to address symptoms. You know, imagine Edison, you know, the guy who invented the light bulb, who failed 99 times, right? Each time he failed, he said, oh my God, let me go ask some experts. And in those days, who were the experts? The experts were the candle makers, people who made candles. So imagine he goes to the candle maker and say, hey buddy, can you help me out here? I'm trying to figure out this electrical problem. What do you think the candle maker is going to do? Tell him, hey, your problem is you don't have any wax, yes? Well, that wouldn't be the solution. That's what experts do. They give you solutions to your symptoms. What we need are some real solutions. So, what do? You certainly don't go to the experts. You spend a little bit more time trying to understand the problem. So, let's understand the problem. We said the institutions were either our friends or our enemies, and they are the ones who sometimes go rogue. Yet there are organizations who are pretty successful. And I want to show you just about 4 or 5 of them so we have an idea about what we are talking about in terms of successful organization. So here is Google. As you can see, in 10 years or so, it went from 354 billion revenues to almost 5 billion revenues. Yes? In a short time, they grew very big. Apple, another, in a short period of time, look at the growth. We're talking some serious money here, billions and billions of dollars, both in terms of revenue or growth. Amazon, another huge company, yes, grown big. A new one, Alibaba, that's much more global than Amazon. That's just in 6 years, look at the growth that it has. And let's not forget Facebook, my favorite, that, wow, it does. Now, this is very good, and you say, wow, this is very successful, all these countries and companies are doing some amazing stuff. So what's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with this picture is the following. As successful as these things are, the problem is that the value which is generated is not appropriately delivered to the people who generate the value. Who do you suppose generates the value in Facebook? Is it Mark Zuckerberg, who toils every day and generates billions of dollars of revenue? Niet. Is it the people who run the servers and things like that, who generate all that stuff? Nah. You know who generates the most value in Facebook? You and I. We work, and you know how much you work, some of you, hours and hours daily, so that you can generate that kind of a revenue for a few people who own the shares of Facebook. The same is true for Google, same is true for Apple, same is true for all of these organizations. I only pick 5 of these because they have something in common besides the fact that the value that is generated is not returned to the people who generate the value in the first place. Yes? The other thing that is common to these 5, I picked them, is because they are all built on a platform which is the internet, which is our modern society. So you might be saying, okay, so what? So normal solution would be, hey, that's pretty cool. Facebook is the one who takes all the money but doesn't give it back to us. Let's create an anti kind of Facebook, which will then be nice and give the money to everybody else. Oh, yeah? Well, that wouldn't be too cool because, first of all, they will fight you. And secondly, how many of these anti-institutions are you going to create? You can create an anti-government, anti-hospitals, anti-Facebook, anti-Google. That doesn't work. So what do? What's the solution? You know what the solution is? You go to my classroom. Not to study math. You can do that too. But you go to my classroom and don't learn how to click the clicker. And in my classroom, on my board, permanently, you will see this statement, which says, we can't solve every problem, but we can learn to solve any problem. And the only way to solve every problem is for everybody to learn how to solve any problem so that they can solve every problem. Does that make sense? So, this is pretty cool, right? Only trouble is, which any problem are we talking about? So, I thought about it last Sunday. And out of the blue, I came up with this. There is this institution. We don't want an anti-institution. So instead of in, I went out. I went out-stitution. And the more I said out-stitution, the better I liked it. You know, and it kind of started growing on me. But then I said, don't worry, I know how to spell tuition. It's got a U in it. But I thought to myself, and I read somewhere in marketing, that a lot of these companies which are successful, they had 2 vowels in it. Google has 2 O's in it, right? Facebook has 2 O's in it. Yahoo has 2 O's in it, right? Apple has 2 P's in it. Whoa! I thought, I need to have 2 of those. So I took the U out and put 2 O's in there. and I liked it even better. Say, out-stitution. Well, that's pretty cool. Then what did I do? I went and registered all of these names. out-stitution.com, .org, .net, .info. Then I thought, yeah, somebody else might come along and they might use the word with U in it. So I registered those 4 also. So guess what? We own all the names, out-stitution.com, .org, .net, and .info. Both ways. So, But that's just a name. That's not going to do any bloody good, right? So I said, I need kind of an equivalent of Facebook. So what is Facebook? What is Facebook? www.facebook.com. out-stitution.org. I like that name. Yes, and then I went, was it yesterday? I thought to myself, I said, yeah, but you gotta have a logo, right? So yesterday in class, was it yesterday, Sam? I called Sam. I forgot to mention Sam. Sam is amazing. He is one of my HL students. I said, hey, Sam, I know you do some graphic stuff. Come over here. I want you, in the middle of class I was, and I said, hey, Sam, he said, I want you to make me a logo. He said, what? So we discussed this, and we futzed around with it, and what do you know? We got this logo. I kind of like it, right? It's got this out-stitution. The arrow means you start that way, just in case you don't know how to read, and you go out-stitution.org. So now we have an anti-institution called out-stitution. I love saying that name. So you might be saying, oh, that's all very nice and dandy. Anybody can do that. By the way, just in case you know, I got a private server in Atlanta. It is very private. We own it. And there we can put up whatever we want. Yes? So we can make Facebook. We can make whatever we want to make it. So I want to show you, because usually when I used to do this on Wall Street, people always used to say, yeah, all these ideas are great. Show me the money. So I thought you might be asking the same thing. So let me show you the money. Imagine this out-stitution. We invited people to say, hey guys, just come and join this out-stitution. And let's suppose out of the 7 billion people in the world, 2 billion people joined this out-stitution. And we said to them, hey guys, unlike Facebook or all these other gobbledygook companies, gobbledygook, that has two somethings in it too. Anyway, instead of those, we are going to have this company, an out-stitution, but it is going to be different than all other companies, because after all, it is anti-institution. And what is the difference between those companies and this company? The difference is, in all other countries, in order to get rich, you have to collect more and more shares. Yes? The more shares you have, the richer you get. You don't have to do anything with it. You just have to keep buying shares. Well, that's no bloody good. So this out-stitution is going to be the opposite. In this out-stitution, the only way you get rich, or richer, is by the size of the company getting bigger, because everybody owns exactly one share of equal value. So if the company is worth $2 billion, right, then everybody owns it, gets $1, yes? But you can see these companies can grow very, very large, very, very fast. So I thought, let me just do some numbers, see how that would work. So I added up all those 5 companies, and here's the totals. This is how much those 5 companies are worth. This is 430, these are in $1 billion numbers, by the way. This is $431 billion revenue for last year, and the average shares is $2.3 billion. So I rounded down to about $2 billion. So let's suppose we took that, and we took 80% of that, and we said 80% of that belongs to the 2 billion people who owns it, in equal amount. Do you know what happens? Every one of those billion people is a billionaire. They're worth $648 billion. And they have nothing, and they generate $172 in revenue. Of course, these are just numbers to demonstrate the point. The point is, it's not going to happen by itself. Yes? The point I was trying to make by doing all this is to show you that once you start thinking out of the box, instead of thinking about you, how am I going to make more money? How is everybody going to make money? You can do amazing things. Yes? And you can do amazing things on a daily basis by thinking out of the box. Instead of thinking about yourself, think about the bigger picture, whatever the bigger picture may be. So, the question is, I am not the one who's going to find the solutions. Your generation is the one who was asking the question, find me extraordinary solutions, right? Well, here is an extraordinary solution. I have even got you started. Now it's up to you. You have no excuse. Either you make it or you don't. But you have nobody to blame but yourself. But no matter what you do, the one thing you should do, go home, give your mom a hug and a kiss, and tell her how much you appreciate her, because your moms are amazing. They are the shining light outside that helps you think out of the box. Yes? Thank you very much. I hope you learned from it. One last announcement, unfortunately, and Mr. Groves told me to tell you that. You have to go back to class. So, thank you very much.